Hello and welcome to Amazing Africans, the documentary series spotlighting the inspiring stories of trailblazers shaping the continent. I am Kelly Egiga. Today, my guest embodies what it truly means to be an amazing African. From the quiet strength of purpose to the bold impact of ideas, Dr. Celsus Undie is a robotic surgeon and a consultant urologist. He does have some milestones etched just beside his name, and we cannot wait to share them with you. So let's get things started. Every great African story begins not with fame, but with purpose. Dr. Celsus Undie is known today for his impact, his voice, and his contribution to society, especially in the medical space. But long before the world took notice, he was simply a young African with questions and a deep desire to make a difference.
I was born in Cross River State, yes, in Obudu, in the mission hospital called Sacred Heart Hospital. I grew up at Obudu with my mother and my grandmother, and had my primary education also at Obudu. I started in the primary school called Primary School Ohom. That's my mother's village. And later I continued in primary school, Ipong 1, in the part of Obudu called Bejapong. We are better speaking. And I had my secondary education in Begading Secondary Grammar School. It's a local school in my grandmother's village. I wanted to go to the same school my older brother attended, which was the most popular secondary school in Northern Cross River called Merino. I wrote an entrance exam, I passed, but I didn't know where results were supposed to be checked. My parents were not educated. There are no telephone services in those days. So eventually, I don't know if I was admitted, I don't know whether I was admitted or not to that school, but I wasn't happy I would stay at home, so I was troubling my mother so much. So my mother spoke to her cousin that was the principal of secondary school in my grandmother's village. And he said I could come and start school the next week. That's how I started school, secondary school. And we didn't have a laboratory, we did not have a library. We were doing with my friend called Reverend Liwe Usher. He's a reverend now, he studied engineering at University of Ibadan. We were doing experiments in his house, in his room.
Secondary school?
Yes, because there was no laboratory. So I could pick copper wires I see in the compound in my grandmother's house and test them on the stove. You lower the flame of the stove until it's almost colorless, and you could see the green color of copper on the stove. I could pick salt in the kitchen and drop it on the stove, and I could see the yellow color of sodium. Because qualitative analysis, they will give you chemicals whose composition you don't know in the chemistry laboratory, and you need to test them and say, this is what the chemical is made of. So we were doing experiments at home, and my uncle could throw ash he gets from there's a torch the night watchman uses to see in the bush, or a hunter uses in the bush. I knew that, I read the content, I knew that it was calcium carbide that was inside. So I told myself, this must contain calcium. So I picked the powder he throws and test it on the stove, and I will see the red color of calcium. So we're doing experiments. We tie a coin, use a ruler to measure the length of the rope and tie it and be swinging it to do the pendulum experiment in physics. So we're doing experiments at home. And that is how some of us managed to pass the exam. The laboratory was established less than 3 months to our graduation. But we managed to pass the exam, and he went to University of Ibadan, and I went to University of Nigeria. And we are always ambitious about going to the best schools in the country.
Like many Africans, his journey was shaped by family, community, and the quiet lessons learned from everyday life, which include resilience, responsibility, and the belief that education and service can change destinies.
People talk about how individuals were made. I believe that everything about us is the help that God gives us, the strength that God gives us, and the health. Because in those days, hospitals were not that good. You could easily die if God did not help you. But be that as it may, I would say that my early upbringing affected my life so much. And that's why I can still tell you the color of copper if you put it on Bunsen burner. I can still pass chemistry exam in secondary school today because we studied by ourselves. We studied by ourselves. And the things that you struggle to get through by yourself, you remember them better than when you are spoon-fed. We were never spoon-fed by anybody. And my mother used to run a restaurant from where she was supporting her education. And because of that, as a primary school child, I would have to help her. So I could dissect an animal, I could kill a goat and dress it up for her. So I knew about organs in the body, where the liver is located, where the kidneys are located, where the spleen is located. I knew all those things even before I went to medical school. So anatomy wasn't going to be a difficult topic for me because right from the beginning, I was used to the anatomy of the animal body. And then in the anatomy laboratory, I was always pushing to be at the head of my table to do the dissection. The anatomy laboratory is about cadavers. So we studied the human body. And that was the foundation of my surgery because anatomy was easy for me to understand. And so surgery became easier for me to opt for. So when I left medical school, it was so easy for me to want to be a surgeon.
But the path was not always smooth. There were moments of doubt and times when giving up would have been easier.
As you know, a student that came from a local background from my grandmother's village where I schooled, and I was in the same class with students that went to the best secondary schools in the country, federal government colleges and all that. So I was determined to graduate along with my classmates. You will find more than 200 students in first year. And then by the time you are graduating, you see only about 80 or 100 students from your class that started with you in the first year graduating. Because the medical school was very tough. It was so difficult to go through medical school without repeating a year, without dropping a class. So that was my ambition. But then, because in my secondary school, I was a senior prefect. I was appointed senior prefect by my principal, Mr. Boshi, who loved me so much. So blessed memory. I was interested in the welfare of school, the welfare of students. So when I went to the university, I was very active in the students' union. I was in the Senate, I was a clerk of the Senate, and I also was a secretary of the Students' Union. I was a Medical Students Association Executive Committee. So it was a very hating moment, running into conflict with school authorities because they're insisting on things. So that was my life on campus. But I graduated along with my class. I did not drop a year in 1990. And I had my experience as a house officer. I did housemanship in the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital. Thanks to Professor Ndomeba, is my mentor. He was the chairman medical advisory committee then. And that was where I met my wife. She's also a doctor. She was also a house officer at that time. And that was where we met.
To Dr. Undie, being African is not a limitation. It is a responsibility. A responsibility to represent excellence, integrity, and hope on the global stage.
I was posted to Ogun State from NYSC. I served in a hospital called Comprehensive Health Center, Ishara, Remo. Yes, and I used to pass in front of Wole Soyinka's house because he's one of my heroes. I read the man died 3 times, over and over again in secondary school, yes. I read it 3 times, and I can quote so many important statements, in that book. I will pass in front of his house and I'll be motivated just seeing his house. I served in Ishara Remo in Ogun State, and I could speak Yoruba language at that time because after 6 months, one day I went to the clinic and they did not send anybody to assist me, to help me interpret. So I had to be forced to talk to the patients by myself.
Wow.
So it was interesting. When the patient is talking about body pains, do me or something, I could understand. When they're talking about bitterness in the mouth, fever, I could understand. So it was an interesting experience. And the other doctor in the hospital was very busy at the local government office. So I was the only doctor actively working in the hospital. And it was quite an experience. You will see all sorts of problems coming to the hospital. I did my first destructive surgery for an obstetric patient while I was a corporal, because a child was born and the child was already dead. The head of the baby was inside, but the baby couldn't come out. She came to the hospital like that. So it was quite an interesting experience as a corporal. Yes.
You did that?
Yes. I was able to deliver the baby. It was a destructive surgery. I wouldn't want to go into that.
Next, I visit Kelina Hospital's Lagos branch, where Dr. Undie helps patients reclaim their lives through surgery and compassionate care.
So here we're doing a kidney stone procedure, and with this machine we can see inside the body. And the equipment are very tiny. Equipment is very tiny, and it can actually get into the kidney without any damage to the structures that drain urine from the kidney to the outside. So here we're inside the kidney. That is a stone inside the kidney. This is a CT image, coronal view of the CT image, showing the stone inside the kidney. And you can see other organs, the liver, the spleen, the stomach, the urinary bladder. I guess this was a female. You can see the uterus also there. Yes. So here is a stone on the fluoroscopy image. Here is a stone. Here we're trying to get into the stone. But the instruments that will get into where the stone is, they're very tiny, not this one you're seeing here.
I'm always amazed how you doctors are able to read.
So here is a stone in a kidney.
Okay.
And here is the laser fiber. Laser fiber is just as small as a guitar string. And it carries all the energy that's used to pulverize the stone, break the stone into powder. Here is a stone, here is a stone. This is soft tube called a guide wire that takes us into the kidney. Here is a rib. Yes. And this procedure is called percutaneous nephrolectomy. And there is a stone. And we give an injection, a needle into the kidney, and we follow the tract with soft tubes, soft wires into the kidney, and we can put the tube through the tract, dilate the tract, and we're in the kidney. And we can pick out an entire stone without breaking it.
Wow.
Yes. So we do a lot of those procedures here. And when the stone is so big, like more than 2 cm in diameter, the best procedure is, of course, percutaneous nephrolectomy. That is a tube that carries urine from the kidney to the bladder. And this is urinary catheter we're going into the kidney. And eventually, it's a needle with use tiny needle, see, we tend to see tiny needle, just like needle used for injection. When the kidney, you could see urine dropping on the tip of the needle there. Yes. And here is the kidney, inside the kidney. The stone is so big. This is the little class master. There are 2 in the country here in Nigeria.
Only 2?
We use it to break the stone and suck out, to the best of our knowledge. We have one Kelena Hospital has one in Abuja and one in Lagos.
Fantastic.
Yes. It's the best when the stones are so huge. Doesn't damage the kidney. When laser imaging is too much, it can actually be damaging to the kidney. Prostate surgery is the most common surgery that is done in Kelena Hospital. In 2025, as you are aware, over 200 prostate surgeries were done.
Over 200?
In Kelena Hospital alone, both for cancer and non-cancer patients. And it's a very common problem in the Asian male. The incidence of benign prostatic enlargement is approximately equal to the age of that person. So for those who are 60 years old, 60% of them have some form of benign prostatic enlargement. But not all of them require surgery. Some don't ever require treatment. For those that have symptoms, you find things like poor stream of the urine, hesitancy, where a patient has to wait a while before the urine starts coming. And the urine can stop and start again by itself. It's called intermittency. And straining, having to strain for the urine to pass, and towards the end, the urine begins to come drop, or you wait a while, it starts coming again, or you dress up and a few drops come into your underwear. That's called terminal dribbling.
Oh, that's dribbling. Okay.
Yeah, these are all voiding symptoms. There are other symptoms called storage symptoms, where you cannot hold urine for a long time. So you find yourself waking up over and over again to go and pass urine, or you cannot drive from your office to your house before you get pressed. That is frequency. If you have to pass urine less than a few minutes, less than a few hours after you previously passed urine. And the urgency is where you cannot hold urine for a long time. These are the terms that are used in urology. Yes, when you feel like passing urine, even if you're in a meeting with the president, you have to excuse yourself. Yes, that's urgency. You can't hold urine until you finish what you're saying. Otherwise, you come into your underclothes. That is urgency. Having to wake up multiple times in the night to pass urine. And then when you finish passing urine, you feel as if your bladder did not eat well. That is what is called a feeling of incomplete voiding. Some of these symptoms are called frequency, urgency, nocturial, straining, intermittency, feeling of incomplete voiding, and poor strength. They are all scored, 7 of them. And the maximum score is 5. And when the symptom score is more than 20, 22, it means the person needs surgery. The symptom score is small, less than 10. Maybe it could be managed with observation. If between 10 and 22, the person needs some form of treatment, even if it's not surgery. And then, of course, other things are considered. Kidney function, the impact on the obstruction on the kidney, if there is recurrent infection, if there are stones, if there is bleeding, if the upper tracts are dilated, like the ureters and the kidneys are dilated, distended. So many other indications. All these things, including the quality of life of that individual. If somebody has to carry a bottle in his car to pass urine because he will wait himself or pass urine in the car, the quality of life is poor. If a taxi driver has to wake up 3-4 times to pass urine, he'll be sleeping in the daytime. And that could even make him to have accident. If an elderly person is waking up at the middle of the night and he rushes to the bathroom and there is no light, he could trip and fall and have a hip fracture. Apart from these symptoms, sometimes there are also symptoms peculiar to prostate cancer, like waist pain, like loss of weight, and sometimes there are even symptoms in other parts of the body as a result of the prostate. And the kidney function is compromised. Blood pressure starts going up. When blood pressure starts going up, it could affect the heart. It could cause a stroke. So the whole body is interrelated completely.
Wow.
Okay, now here
Some questions are running through my mind.
Talk about retention of urine, which is not necessarily part of what we discussed before, where the bladder gets more and more distended. And when that happens, it begins to affect the function of the kidney. Sometimes people have recurrent infection. For men, men do not have infection in the urine easily. Women can have infection in the urine. If a woman has urinary tract infection more than 3 times in a year, there is an underlying cause. It should be investigated. But if a man has infection in the urine every once, there is an underlying cause. Sometimes it's due to stones in the kidney, sometimes it's due to obstruction to urine flow. Men do not have infection in the urine as commonly as women do. Because the urethra, the tube that carries urine from the bladder to the kidney, to the outside, the men, that tube is very long, so difficult for infection to come in there. So if a man has urinary tract infection once, It should be investigated properly. There is a reason why.
I have a few questions, doctor, but perhaps we can...
Yes, these other symptoms you have, like waist pain, may be due to cancer of the prostate. We never know. Pain in the bones. Sometimes there's blood in the urine, which could be due to prostate problems or some other problems. Difficulty passing urine, kidney failure, paralysis. If somebody's legs are getting weak and is on the older side, it may be due to prostate cancer. Sometimes it's due to prostate cancer. It's not enough to just focus on the backbone. Sometimes we need to also check the prostate, because cancer has gone into the bones. It will make the blood level to be very low, and it can also make a man to be paralyzed. And if you don't get it on time, once paralysis sets in, it's so difficult to reverse it and have the person walk again in his lifetime. Weight loss or weakness, all are sometimes due to cancer. Not only cancer, but sometimes they are due to cancer. Sometimes there are no symptoms. All cancers, most cancers, do not have any symptom at all until the cancer is advanced.
Wow.
The symptoms you see are symptoms of advanced cancer. Early cancer doesn't have any symptom for most cases. So there are tests that can help us detect if there's a problem. A lot of men know this and they go for annual check every year. For a man that's more than 50, it's a good thing to add PSA to his annual check.
Annually? Every year?
Very important, especially for those who have prostate cancer in their families. And of course, we examine the patient. Sometimes you put finger and check the prostate, and sometimes you can feel the cancer with your hands.
With your hands?
Yes. Wow. That is for those that are advanced.
For you, oh my word. And of course, pictures of the robots. I cannot wait for us to hit the theater.
Yes, we do robotic surgery for prostate cancer in Canada.
Yes, we'll get to the theater in just a moment, but perhaps...
Yes. Last week, the hospital did 9 robotic surgeries in 3 days for prostate cancer. And all the patients
9 robotic surgeries for prostate.
Yes. Patients have all gone home.
Wow.
This is kidney. This is a kidney. This kidney had cancer. You cannot see it from outside. Yes. And this is the cancer here. This is the cancer here. And this is the rest of the kidney. The cancer had extended into the renal pelvis, the part of the kidney that drains urine from the kidney to the renal bladder. Otherwise, we will have done part of the kidney out and left the rest of the kidney. It's called partial nephrectomy. Yes. The hospital had a case of partial nephrectomy not too long ago for a patient that had only one kidney. He had kidney cancer 10 years earlier, and that was done outside the country. And then 10 years after that, he developed cancer in the remaining kidney. Oh, it's so easy to think that the best thing like this, you take out the kidney. If you take out the remaining kidney, he will leave you on dialysis for the rest of his life. And if you want to transplant the patient with a new kidney, because of the cancer, it will be difficult. If it starts suppressing his immunity for the kidney to survive the transplant, he may not cope because of the fact that it's a cancer patient. So it was possible to take out half of the kidney and leave the remaining kidney. So now he has 1/4 of the kidney capacity that God gave him. And he doesn't...
1/4?
Yes, and he's surviving without dialysis. So it's interesting. Some of the things that are done are interesting, very interesting.
Wow, 1/4. So shocking to
And the procedure was done laparoscopically. It wasn't open surgery. Yes.
You do not campaign for open surgeries.
It's not like we do not campaign for open surgery. If somebody could travel from Lagos to Abuja by air, we would definitely prefer that. And I don't think anybody with his own car would prefer to park it at home and take a bus to work every day on a long distance journey. It's a lot easier for the patient and they could recover faster. Blood transfusion rate is very, very low. Of all actually the hospital did 13 robotic surgeries last week. All the patients have gone home. Only one patient received blood because the blood level was already low for surgery. The surgeries can be done without blood transfusion, and the patients can eat their food the same day, and they are out of bed able to walk around the next day. So the minimally invasive procedures that are done these days all over the world and in several hospitals in this country, they are superior to open surgery. I've had open surgery on my own body multiple times before minimally invasive surgery became available in Nigeria, and I know that I needed to be out of work for a number of days. They had colic, holmium laser initiation, the prostate in Kerena Hospital, and the patient went to work on Friday, even though the surgery was, went to work on Monday. The patient went to work on Monday, even though the surgery was done on Friday.
Surgery done on Friday,
Yes.
and by Monday,
Yes.
you had to resume work.
Yes, for Kerena Hospital, the robot is available in Lagos only at the moment. Some of the patients that require this surgery come from Abuja to Lagos. I will do the surgery in Lagos and they go back to Abuja 4 days or 5 days after surgery. They're able to travel by air. So minimally invasive surgery has a lot of advantage over open surgery. And for prostate, robotic surgery is the most precise. The chance of incontinence of urine and loss of erection is less compared to other methods of surgery. Precision is higher, blood transfusion rate is lower, recovery rate is faster. That's why the hospital is pushing for minimally invasive surgery. It's not about a bragging right, it's about what can help the patients better. And Nigerians travel out of the country all over the world. We lose a lot of money on medical tourism because of technology that Nigerians are looking for. Several hospitals are now trying to do this in the country and bringing in the best technology available in the whole world, especially with the support and the infrastructure and the work the current government is doing, opening up our economy. It has become a lot easier for so many things to be done.
Let me squeeze in maybe 1 or 2 questions before we head to the theater. What plans do you have for women who also battle with breast cancers and all of that? And then my second question would be, how common do you find stones in kidneys?
For breast cancer, like for all cancers, early detection is the best way to go about it. Some people have cancer in their family, and we have 2 general surgeons. It's not my area of work, although I can do a biopsy of the breast, even a needle biopsy, but it's not my area of work. The general surgeons are the best equipped to talk about that. And sometimes we do screening for people under partnership with an NGO we work with for prostate cancer, for breast cancer. There was a story I read in the Punch newspapers not long ago about a patient that came to Kerena Hospital because the hospital was doing free screening for prostate cancer. And he discovered his PSA was high, and he went and had a biopsy, and he was thankful that he's now free of cancer. Once in a while, the hospital collaborates with NGOs, and we do this for that for thanks. So for breast cancer, yes, we do breast cancer surgery also, the general surgery. But for kidney stones, the only thing I would say is that people should learn to drink a lot of water. So many things that we eat contain chemicals that can precipitate inside the urine. When chemicals in the urine or in any fluid in the whole body or anywhere else reach a saturation point, they precipitate. And a lot of those chemicals, like oxalic acid, they come from food sources, like plant-based food sources. Tea, Coca-Cola, cola nuts, and other things we take from plants. Plants contain a lot of oxalic acid, and the chemical is not really soluble. So when the concentration is high, it precipitates. A lot of patients we see with kidney stones, they like a lot of tea, they drink tea a lot. And one woman we saw was taking a lot of vitamin C and was also taking a lot of calcium tablets. And she thought it was good for her health. And it's not bad to take vitamins, but calcium combines with oxalic acid to form calcium oxalate. That is what precipitates into a kidney stone. And vitamin C is converted to oxalic acid in the body. That's the end product of vitamin C, or one of the end products of vitamin C metabolism. So taking lots of vitamin C and lots of calcium is just predisposing oneself to kidney stone formation. There's no solution to it. We have to eat anyway. And the best thing is just to drink a lot of water. The kidney is like fish. When it's swimming in a lot of fresh water, it is very relaxed and very comfortable. The more water we drink, the healthier our kidneys tend to be. And when you drink a lot of water, it flushes out tiny particles out of the kidney before they congregate together to form a huge stone that could block the entire kidney. And stones could cause kidney failure. They could damage the kidney. Yes, they could. We had to remove kidneys in so many patients because of stones. Because the kidney was completely gone.
What carried him forward was not privilege, but perseverance, not shortcuts, but conviction. And beyond titles and qualifications, Dr. Undie's work is rooted in people, lifting others, and creating pathways where none existed before. Well, Doctor, I imagine that this is where all the magic happens.
Yes, this is where we do our surgeries. We actually have 2 operating rooms. This is not the only one. And sometimes equipment is moved from one room to another. Wow. We always protect the environment by wearing masks, by wearing theater dress, which is sterile before we enter here. Because I did not wear masks today, for the purpose of audibility. We are going to disinfect the whole of this operating room.
After we're done with
After we're done, we're going to
production.
disinfect the operating room.
Wow.
Yes. So it's a sterile environment. And we pride ourselves, this hospital prides itself in the fact that the people without infection that come here should never leave here with infection. Yes. We have special equipment, plasma sterilization. Yes. And I was told that was the first in the whole country. Like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, we started.
More than 10 years ago.
Yes, so it kills every living thing. So we were very particular about infection.
Just before you get very technical with us and some of the medical jargons, when you come into this operating theater as a consultant urologist that you are, what goes through your mind just before you operate and when you operate?
The first thing is I'm very, very happy to be here. It's like a pilot sitting on the seat on the cockpit. Yeah, because I work in so many hospitals in the country and I never had the privilege to have technology available here. So I'm very happy to be here and I'm very happy to work here. I feel fulfilled that I have everything that I need for my work. Because the hospital is very supportive of the medical team and provides for the hospital, for the team, everything that we need for the work. So that goes through my mind. I was working in the public hospital at the time. I needed surgery. I preferred to do it here. My wife needed surgery. She preferred to do it here. 2 of our children needed surgery because of that comfort. So the first thing that goes through my mind is that I'm very comfortable. I'm very happy. And what gives it the greatest fulfillment as a human being, as a professional, is when a procedure is done safely. And I see a patient going home less than 24 hours after the procedure. The same procedures I was doing 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and patients will stay in the hospital for nearly 1 week.
Wow.
We are able to do the same procedure, and patients could go home the same day, or less than 24 hours thereafter. So that gives you a lot of fulfillment. And when you see somebody that in your own mind, you thought he didn't have 1 year to live, walking out of the hospital on his feet, it gives you a lot of fulfillment.
I can only imagine. And speaking of which, you've mentioned, the fact that there's, in this operating room, I can see cutting edge technology. You seem to be very big on technology and robots, as we can see here. So speak to us about HOLEP, for instance, which you believe is one of the most effective means or ways of treating cancer.
No, HOLEP is not for treating cancer. It's actually for treating a large prostate that is obstructing urine flow and putting a strain on the kidney or lowering the quality of life of the individual. When medical treatment has failed, there are indications for prostate surgery. There are more than 10. So a patient needs to meet the indication for surgery one way or the other before he is advised to have surgery. HOLEP means holmium laser enucleation of the prostate. It's not about a personal belief. It's because some urologists, including myself, have had experience in so many other methods of surgery. The idea of HOLE being the most effective is to test out the prostate. If you do go for focal treatment or some other method of treatment that does not remove the prostate will grow again sooner or later. I saw a patient the other time that had a urolift in the United States because he did not want the prostate removed. Some of them are, some of the methods that people talk about are because they have fewer side effects. Like somebody can still ejaculate normally and everything, but the prostate was not removed, so it wasn't sent for test. He had cancer in the prostate, but it was not known. And not up to 2 years, not up to 3 years later, the cancer had spread, and he still couldn't pass urine. And after urolift, metal clips are implanted to hold back the prostate, but it is not possible to remove them by any other means of surgery, except with a laser. So he was advised to go to Cardinal Hospital where laser was used to cut the metal clips and take out the prostate so he could pass urine. And then the prostate was sent for test, and then there was cancer in the prostate, and the cancer had already spread. So every method has its own limitation. The HOLE can take out prostate of any size. TURP cannot. Open surgery can take out prostate of any size. Of all the methods of prostate surgery that I know, HOLE is the only one that is minimally invasive, minimal access surgery that can take out prostate of any size. We have experience of prostates bigger than 550 grams that were taken out by HOLE, and the patient goes on less than a day after surgery.
Wow.
There's also something called TURP syndrome, which is when excessive fluid is absorbed into the circulation. HOLE has less chance of TURP syndrome compared to TURP, compared to some other methods. The HOLE does take out the prostate, and it does remove more prostate than other methods like TURP. It is said that after HOLE, the chance of a patient returning to theater for repeat removal of a prostate that has grown again is lower than for TURP and other methods of prostate surgery. So that is why some people in the profession, based on studies I have done, have proven that regrowth rate and reoperation rate is lower for HOLE. Even in the paper that was published from this hospital a couple of years ago, there were references showing that HOLE has a lower chance of regrowth compared to other methods of surgery. For prostates that are not cancerous. For prostates that are cancerous, HOLE is not the most effective method of treatment. HOLE can take out only 15% or so of cancers completely for the body without anything left behind. Open radical prostatectomy, laparoscopic radical prostatectomy, and of course, robotic radical prostatectomy are the more effective method of treating prostate cancer. They're more effective than chemotherapy and radiotherapy for cancers that are not spread out of the body.
So, doctor, you may want to walk us through
yes, here is a little class master.
Technology we see here.
This is a little class master. In my opinion, it's the most effective device for taking out big stones from the kidney. Because
big stones from the kidney.
This little class contains different devices in one. It can break stones, it can suck them out at the same time. Laser can break stones, but laser does not suck out the stones from the body.
What else we have here? You mentioned cameras, but maybe we can just talk a bit more about
This is the laser, a 150 watts laser. At the moment, I'm not aware of any laser in the whole world that's more than 150 watts. This is a very powerful laser.
150?
Yes, and it's for lithotripsy. We use it for other surgery. We use it for HOLE. We use it for so many surgeries. Yes, you can break stones into powder. You can also take out the prostate by the technology called HOLE.
And then the robot.
This is this is our robotic system. This was the second robot that came into the country last year in 2025. There are 3 robots in Nigeria right now.
Oh, 3? Yeah. Only 3 robots in Nigeria?
Yeah, but before last year, before 2025, there was no robot at all in the whole of West Africa, Central Africa, and East Africa.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, so we are a fairly large volume hospital, urology hospital, because there was a time the hospital did 11 robotic prostate cancer surgeries in 36 hours. Yeah, last week the hospital did 13 robotic surgeries, or 12. Yeah, so it's a fairly large volume, high volume hospital, and there are many surgeons that work in a hospital.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, these are the arms that move the robot.
The arms of
and
the
one
robots.
person controls all the 4 arms. So it's like 2 people. One person can do surgery that 2 people could do. That's one person can do surgery as if it were 2 people doing the surgery together. So that's the interesting thing. But the more interesting thing about the robot is precision. Yeah, everything is magnified, so you see clearly. It's easier to preserve nerves. It's easier to preserve structures that you don't intentionally want to take out of the body. Vision is better.
Absolutely.
Bleeding is less. Not because of the robot, because of some other technology that goes with the robot to minimize bleeding, like harmonies, like ligature. There's so many things that are used to reduce bleeding during the surgery. Transfusion rate is very, very low.
I'm just imagining in my mind, what do you want to be remembered for? What legacy would you want to be remembered for?
I would like to be remembered as somebody who was born in a small village in this country, who never had any means at all to even go to school or become a doctor or become a surgeon, whose parents were not even educated, who received all the help that God could possibly give any human being, raised people to help him, raised a brother to send him to school, raised people with human compassion to train him, to mentor him. I was told recently, and I quote in the corner, you don't choose your mentors choose you. So I'm grateful to my mentors, but I would like to be remembered as somebody who was grateful to God for all the help he got. And there's nothing special about any human being. The people that die in their sleep, the people that had accidents, they can't jump from one lane of the road to another, had accident with them, and they died on the spot. Are human beings like us. We're not better than them. I would like to be remembered as somebody that was grateful to all the people that helped him, to God that gave him the support. Not as anybody that was special, not as anybody that was self-made, not as anybody that worked so hard. No. For those of you who read the Bible says the race does not always go to the swift. So it is not about anything special about me as a person. It is by the grace of God that we live and we move and we have our being. That's what I would like to be remembered for. As somebody who came into this world and got all the support he needed for all the people around him, and he was able to do something that was useful to humanity.
Dr. Celsus Ukelina Undie's story reminds us that greatness is not loud. It is built daily through choices, character, and commitment. And in every sense of the word, his journey is amazingly African. From vision to impact, Dr. Celsus Ukelina Undie reminds us that African excellence is not just a promise, it's a practice rooted in purpose, driven by innovation and committed to global impact. But that's the show, guys. Thank you indeed for watching. But you can keep the conversation going across our socials. From Lagos, Nigeria, I am Kelly Egiga, and I'll see you again next time. Bye now.